Hello everyone, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we're diving into a headline that has fans buzzing with excitement and speculation. A 2026 bombshell has just dropped as lead Jong Suk and IU openly say they're ready for the future, but what does that really mean? Is it simply a reflection on growth and career plans? Or could it hint at something far more personal? Stay with us as we unpack every detail and reaction, starting right now. This is a fictionalized, dramatic retelling inspired by celebrity news storytelling tropes. Created for entertainment. It began with a sentence so simple it should have disappeared into the noise of the internet, yet it didn't. It clung to screens. It stuck to people's ribs like a second heartbeat. We're ready for the future. 4 words. Clean. Polished. Almost harmless. And still, the moment they surfaced, the air online changed, like someone had opened a door to a cold corridor and everyone felt it at once. Fans didn't scroll past. They stopped. They replayed. They listened again with the volume higher, as if the truth might be hiding in the tremble of a voice or the pause between syllables. Because when two global stars say future, the world doesn't hear a calendar. It hears a promise. It hears a plan. It hears a secret that finally slipped. The clip, short, tightly framed, spread like wildfire. First in fan circles. Then on gossip accounts. Then on mainstream timelines where strangers who didn't even follow either celebrity suddenly had opinions like sworn testimony. One person swore the phrase sounded rehearsed. Another insisted it sounded too honest to be scripted. One zoomed in on a glance, just a glance, and declared it the look of people who already decided something. And suddenly the internet wasn't asking what did they say? It was asking something far more dangerous. What are they about to do? Before the phrase erupted, the atmosphere had already been tense in a quieter way. Fans had been watching every public appearance with microscopic attention, a schedule shift here, a careful answer there, the kind of vague, diplomatic smiles that celebrities wear when they know the wrong word can become a storm. There was a feeling, unspoken but persistent, that something was building beneath the surface. Then the future line arrived, and the pressure finally found a crack to explode through. Within hours, speculative headlines multiplied like mirrors. Marriage? A new project? A joint move abroad? A long-term commitment? People threw guesses into the chaos. And every guess sounded more confident than the last. Confidence is the currency of virality. Meanwhile, calmer voices begged for restraint. Don't assume. Don't force narratives. But calm never outruns shock. And the most unnerving part wasn't what people were saying. It was how fast they believed themselves. A second clip surfaced, different angle, sharper audio. The words were the same. Timing of the pause before future felt longer. He inhaled. She blinked. The room behind them sounded like it held its breath. That tiny pause became an obsession. Netizens treated it like forensic evidence. Slicing the moment into frames. Measuring facial muscles. Arguing over whether that blink meant nerves, excitement, or warning. The comment sections turned into battlefields. One side screamed, "They're hinting at marriage," the other side snapped back, "It's just a performance line, stop projecting," and floating between those extremes was a third, more unsettling possibility that nobody wanted to admit out loud. What if they meant exactly what they said, but didn't want anyone to understand it yet? Then came the first true shock wave, an anonymous post, written like a confession, claiming the future line wasn't spontaneous. Claimed it was deliberate. Planned to prepare fans for something bigger in 2026. Proof. No names. Just a few loaded sentences posted at the perfect moment. To poison every conversation with a taste of inevitability. The post went viral. And with it, the hunger grew teeth. Began combing through old interviews. Resurrecting harmless phrases and reframing them as secret foreshadowing. A casual compliment became coded affection. A joke became a hidden promise. A smile became confirmation. The internet stitched fragments into a story so dramatic that it started to feel more real than reality. But behind the screaming excitement, other tension formed, one that felt colder and sharper. Because when a rumor swells this fast, it doesn't just create fantasy. It creates pressure. And pressure demands a response. That's when the silence turned terrifying. No clarifying captions. No quick denial. No soft PR phrasing to calm the chaos. Just nothing. Clean. Controlled nothing. Kind of nothing that makes people panic because it offers no boundary to respect. The kind of nothing that allows every interpretation to survive. By midnight, "We're ready for the future" wasn't just a quote anymore. It was a spark sitting on a pile of gasoline. Everyone knew the next morning would decide what kind of fire it would become. The morning after the quote went viral, Internet didn't wake up, it lurched awake. Hungry and frantic. Like it had been running in its sleep. Search results exploded. Tags surged. And edits multiplied so fast they felt manufactured. One cut a clip into slow motion and laid it over a romantic soundtrack. Suddenly the words didn't sound like a statement. Sounded like a vow. Another editor added dramatic subtitles, "Future equals wedding?" comma, and that single question mark became a weapon. Because the question mark makes anything feel safe to say while still infecting minds with the idea. And then came the twist that pushed the frenzy into darker. The clip began disappearing from certain accounts. Not everywhere, never everywhere, but enough to be noticed. Posts removed. Re-uploads muted. Few fan pages suddenly went private. The internet interpreted it the only way it knows how. They're trying to hide something. The truth is, there are 100 reasons content gets taken down. But when people are already convinced, reason doesn't matter. The disappearance became fuel. Made the rumor feel hunted, and hunted things feel real. The tension reached a breaking point when a new detail started circulating. That future didn't mean careers. It meant a life announcement. Claim didn't arrive as a rumor, it arrived as a certainty. Spread with bullet point confidence, dates, alleged plans, alleged next steps. The more specific it sounded, the more people believed it. Even though specificity is often the easiest costume for fiction to wear. Some fans were thrilled. Some were furious. Some were terrified of being played. And then, in the middle of the chaos, a single image began circulating, grainy, ambiguous. The kind of photo that could be anything and therefore becomes everything. Two silhouettes. A blurred hand motion. And too unclear to confirm. Too suggestive to ignore. Netizens argued for hours about whether it even showed them. But the argument itself was the point. Kept the story alive. And the story grew stronger with every person who touched it. Pressure built in layers. Fans demanded clarity. Gossip pages demanded clicks. Commentators demanded analysis. And the two names at the center of it became less like people and like characters trapped in a plot written by strangers. The most shocking thing happened, not a dramatic reveal. Not a scandalous confession. But something far more unsettling in its restrained, a calm public appearance where everything looked normal. Too normal. A light smile. A steady posture. Neutral words. The kind of composure that reads as strength to some, and as strategic control to others. Because when the world is screaming and you remain calm, people assume you're hiding a storm behind your ribs. Is ready for the future follow them like a shadow. Every question, every headline, every comment twisted back toward it. What future? When? Together? Professionally? Personally? And then the speculation reached its sharpest point, the idea that future was intentionally ambiguous. A phrase designed to mean different things to different people, safe enough to deny, powerful enough to ignite. That's what made it so lethal. Because the internet doesn't need proof if it has possibility. Possibility is enough to build a cathedral of rumors. But the final beat, the one that made the entire story feel like a cliffhanger, came when the noise began to turn inward. Fans started fighting each other not about the celebrities, but about boundaries. About what it means to support someone without claiming ownership. About how quickly love from a distance can become entitlement up close. In that sense, the real bombshell wasn't the quote. It was the reaction to it. A single line had exposed how fragile the line is between admiration and intrusion. Between hope and obsession. Between storytelling and pressure. Whether the future meant a new chapter, a joint plan, or simply a poetic answer in a fleeting moment. The world had already done what it always does, it grabbed the smallest spark and demanded a fire. And somewhere behind all the noise, behind the edits, the captions, the arguments, one truth stayed sharp enough to cut. Sometimes, the most intense drama isn't what celebrities do. It's what everyone else decides their words must mean. The internet may never agree on the answer. But the tension will linger. Humming under every repost, every replay. Every what does it mean, because the future, by definition, is the one thing nobody can fully confirm. That uncertainty is exactly what keeps the world watching. In the end, the so-called 2026 bombshell was not defined by a concrete announcement or a clear revelation, but by the intensity of the reaction it provoked. Or simple words, ready for the future, were enough to ignite speculation, debate, hope, and anxiety all at once. Whether they were meant as a reflection on growth, a shared outlook, or something far more personal, the truth remains deliberately out of reach. And perhaps that is exactly why the story became so powerful. What this moment ultimately revealed was not a confirmed plan, but the fragile space where public curiosity collides with private intention. In that space, silence speaks loudly. Ambiguity becomes fuel, and imagination rushes in to fill every gap. The future, whatever it may hold, belongs to those living it, not to the noise surrounding it. Thank you sincerely for staying with us until the very end of this intense and thought-provoking story. Your time, attention, and curiosity mean a great deal to us here at Behind the Bulletin. If this piece kept you engaged or sparked new questions, I invite you to continue following us as we explore the moments behind the headlines, carefully, thoughtfully, and with respect. Thank you for reading. Thank you for watching. And thank you for being part of our community.